Hello, hello, and a very warm welcome to all our lovely listeners out there. You are tuning in to Speak English with Luna, the place where your English dreams start to take flight. I am so happy you are here with me today. Today is a very special episode because we are talking about something we all do, but maybe we don't do it well enough. We are talking about our evening routines. How we end our day is just as important as how we start it, right?
That is so true, Luna. Thank you for having me. I think many people forget that the night is not just for sleeping, it is for healing and, surprisingly, for learning.
Exactly. And that is why I invited you, David. David is an expert in mindful living, and he has the most relaxing voice I have ever heard. Now, everyone, listen closely. Today, we have a little challenge for you. We're starting this conversation in very easy English. If you are a beginner or intermediate, you will feel very comfortable right now. But as the minutes go by, David and I are going to push you. We are going to use more complex words, more advanced grammar, and deeper ideas. By the end of this 15-minute podcast, we will be speaking at a C1 level. That's advanced English.
It's a journey, isn't it? Just like winding down for the night. We start with simple actions and then we go deeper into our thoughts.
Precisely. So, my dear listeners, here is my challenge. Stay with us until the very last second. Even if it gets a little bit difficult, don't turn it off. Try to catch the meaning. If you stay until the end, you are proving to yourself that your brain is ready for the next level. Are you ready to talk about peaceful sleep and how to use your evening to grow your English?
I'm ready. It's all about creating that perfect environment for the mind to rest and the soul to listen.
I love that. The soul to listen. That is beautiful. So grab a cup of herbal tea, get comfortable, and let's dive into our evening routines. David, when you think of a peaceful evening, what is the first thing that comes to your mind?
I think of silence, Luna, but not just the absence of noise. I think of the intentional silence we create when we put our phones away and finally listen to our own breath. It's the first step to a good night.
Before we go any deeper into our topic, I want to take a moment to say something very important to you. Yes, you, the person listening to my voice right now. I know that learning a second language can sometimes feel like a heavy weight on your shoulders. You might feel stressed during the day because you didn't understand a meeting at work, or perhaps you felt shy when trying to speak at a store. I want you to know that this space, right here with David and me, is your safe zone.
That is such a beautiful sentiment, Luna. In my work with mindfulness, I often find that the brain simply cannot learn when it is in fight or flight mode. If you're anxious about your grammar or worried about your accent, your mind actually closes its doors to new information. To learn effectively, especially in the evening when your energy is low, you must first feel safe and accepted.
Exactly. This isn't a classroom with a teacher and a red pen waiting to correct your every mistake. This is a conversation between friends. If you miss a word, it's okay. If a sentence goes by too fast, just let it wash over you like a gentle rain. David, how do you help people find that sense of security when they are feeling overwhelmed by their goals?
Softly, I tell them to breathe and to realize that they are already enough. You are not your English level. You are a human being attempting something brave. When you realize that making a mistake is not a threat to your safety, you become free. This evening, let the English language be a warm blanket, not a puzzle you have to solve.
I love that. Let it be a blanket. I love that so much. So take a deep breath with us. You're doing great, and you are exactly where you need to be. We are moving right along. Now that we are all feeling relaxed and safe, let's get into the heart of our evening. David, I want to talk about the how. Many of our listeners work very hard. They have long days, they commute, they take care of families, and then, late at night, they try to squeeze in some English study. But often they feel too exhausted to even look at a book. Is there a way to blend relaxation with progress?
That is a profound question, Luna.
We often view learning and resting as two opposite poles, as if they are in constant conflict. We think learning must be rigorous, loud, and active, while rest must be silent and empty. But the reality is much more nuanced. From a neuroscientific perspective, your brain actually does its most important work while you are drifting off to sleep. There's a process called memory consolidation. When you expose yourself to a language right before bed in a low stress way, your brain takes those patterns and weaves them into your long term memory while you dream.
Wait, so you're saying that if I listen to a beautiful story or a podcast like this one right before I sleep, my brain is actually practicing while I'm unconscious? That sounds like a superpower.
It essentially is. But the key, Luna, is the quality of the environment you create. Let me tell you a story about how I discovered this. A few years ago, I was living in a very noisy part of the city. I was constantly stressed, and my sleep was fragmented. I felt like my cognitive abilities were declining. I couldn't focus, and I certainly couldn't learn anything new. I realized I had to transform my bedroom into a sanctuary. I started a ritual. Every night at 9 p.m., I would dim the lights. This is crucial because bright lights inhibit the production of melatonin, which is the hormone that signals to your body that it's time to rest.
I've heard about that. It's like a digital sunset, right? I struggle with that so much. I find myself scrolling through my phone, looking at social media, and suddenly it's midnight and my brain is buzzing like an electric wire. It's what they call revenge bedtime procrastination. You feel like you didn't have enough me time during the day, so you steal it from your sleep.
That is a very common modern struggle, Luna. But when we do that, we are essentially sabotaging our future selves. When I changed my routine, I replaced the screen with a physical book or a high quality audio experience. I started listening to philosophy or literature in a way that didn't require me to work. I just let the words exist in the room with me. By lowering the cognitive load, which means not trying too hard to analyze everything, I found that I was actually retaining more information. My vocabulary expanded naturally because I was in a receptive rather than a defensive state of mind.
I love that. Instead of studying English at night, we should experience English. But David, as we promised our listeners, we are going to dive into some more complex ideas now. Let's talk about the atmosphere of a routine. When we talk about aspirational living, we are talking about creating a life that feels intentional. How can someone who is currently at a B2 level start using C1 level concepts in their daily reflection?
It starts with the vocabulary of your inner world. Instead of saying, I am tired, you might reflect on the fatigue that has settled into your bones. Instead of saying, I want to sleep, you think about surrendering to the night. There's a certain poetic resonance in the English language that we only find when we slow down. For example, consider the word serenity. It's more than just being quiet. It's a state of being where you are at peace with the world despite its chaos.
I love that. Serenity. Sometimes I feel the opposite. I feel restless. My mind starts racing about everything I didn't finish today or the mistakes I made in my English conversation earlier. How do we deal with that inner critic that wakes up just as we are trying to shut down?
You acknowledge the critic, but you don't give it a chair at your table. I like to use a technique called the brain dump, but in a more sophisticated way. I call it the evening inventory. You take a piece of paper and you write down every lingering thought, every incomplete task, and every linguistic frustration. By externalizing these thoughts, you are telling your brain, it is safe to let go now. It is recorded. We will handle it tomorrow. This creates the mental bandwidth necessary for deep, restorative sleep.
Mental bandwidth. That is such a great term. It's like our brains are computers and we have too many tabs open. We need to close the tabs so the system can run smoothly. So, for our listeners who are aiming for that C1 level, they can start by describing their emotions with more precision. Instead of happy, maybe they feel content or rejuvenated. Instead of stressed, they might feel overwhelmed or encumbered.
Exactly. And as you transition into that deeper sleep, your brain starts a process of synaptic pruning. It decides which information from the day is worth keeping and which is redundant.
If your last thoughts are filled with the rich, evocative language of a podcast or a book, your brain marks that language as significant. You are literally telling your neurons that English is a priority for your survival and your growth.
This is honestly fascinating. It makes the act of going to bed feel like a sacred ritual rather than just a biological necessity. We're essentially curators of our own consciousness. We choose what we feed our minds before we close our eyes.
We indeed are. And for the English learner, this is the ultimate low-effort, high-reward strategy. You don't need a desk. You don't need a pen. You just need a willingness to listen and a commitment to your own tranquility.
I feel so much more relaxed already just talking about this. I hope our listeners are feeling the same way. We've covered the science of memory, the importance of the digital sunset, and how to use more sophisticated vocabulary to describe our internal states. Now it's time for one of my favorite parts of the show, the word tour. We have used some truly beautiful, high-level language today, and I don't want you to miss the chance to add these gems to your own vocabulary. David, let's break down 5 terms that can help our listeners express their evening more elegantly.
I would be honored, Luna. Let's start with a classic phrase for the evening, to wind down. It means to gradually relax or bring something to an end. Instead of saying, I am stopping work, you can say, I am starting to wind down for the night. It suggests a slow, gentle transition.
I love that. It sounds so much more peaceful than stopping. Our second word is sanctuary. A sanctuary is a place of refuge or safety. For example, you could say, I have worked hard to turn my bedroom into a sanctuary where no work stress is allowed. It's a very powerful word for a C1 level.
Very true. Our third term is a bit more technical, cognitive load. This refers to the total amount of mental effort being used in your brain. Example, by listening to easy English stories, I am reducing my cognitive load so my brain can rest while I learn.
That is such a smart way to describe it. Our fourth word is serenity. It's a noun that describes the state of being calm, peaceful, and untroubled. You might say, the serenity of the night helps me reflect on my goals. It's much deeper than just saying quiet.
And finally, we have restorative. This adjective describes something that has the ability to restore health or strength. Example, a restorative sleep is essential for memory consolidation.
Winding down, sanctuary, cognitive load, serenity, and restorative. 5 beautiful terms to elevate your English tonight.
Now, my dear listeners, it is time for our community challenge. We don't want this to be a one-way conversation. We want to hear from you. Today, we have talked about routines, sanctuaries, and the beauty of winding down. So here is your mission. I want you to go to our comments section or our social media page and describe your evening routine using at least one of the high-level words we learned today.
That's a wonderful idea, Luna. I would love to know what specific ritual brings you a sense of serenity. Is it a warm cup of chamomile tea? Is it a few pages of a classic novel? Or perhaps it's simply the act of dimming the lights to lower your cognitive load?
Exactly. Tell us, my evening sanctuary is, or, to wind down, I like to. Share your story with us. Your habits might just inspire someone else in our global English learning family. We have reached the final destination of today's journey. Now, I have a very important question for you. Did you make it? If you are hearing my voice right now, it means you accepted my challenge and stayed until the very end. You navigated through the simple waters of B1 and dove deep into the nuanced, sophisticated vocabulary of a C1 conversation. That is a massive achievement for your brain. How do you feel?
You should feel a profound sense of accomplishment. By remaining present through the complexities of our discussion, you have demonstrated remarkable linguistic resilience. Remember, the path to true fluency is not a frantic sprint. It is a series of quiet, intentional moments just like this one.
I couldn't agree more, David. You didn't just study English today, you experienced it. You allowed yourself to be challenged and you didn't back down. That is the hallmark of an advanced learner. If this episode brought you some serenity, please subscribe and share it with a friend. Let's grow our community of mindful learners together.
Good night, everyone. May your sleep be restorative and your dreams be filled with the language of your future self.
Sleep well, stay curious, and I will see you in the next episode of Speak English with Luna. Bye-bye for now.